I'm just here with Dobby.
Yeah, I'm sorry. All my stuffed animals are over there. Matter of fact.
I also have Shiggy. This is the old Shiggy with the hand on his face. Oh. Oh my god! Inosuke!
The best boy thinks he's gonna chill right there for right now.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, so we're talking about anime today. So some of the main topics that we're going to be covering today are like what makes an anime, what is an anime, different types of anime, Western cartoons and anime versus actual anime. And since I couldn't find anything that contrasts like Western cartoons, we're also going to be talking about some manhwas as well. Without further ado, let's go talk about some anime. All right, take us home, KP-chan.
Okay, so today we are talking about what makes an anime an anime. In my opinion, my humble opinion, for me, an anime, Japanese anime, is usually originally created, it's made in Japan, originates from there. A lot of times it will be starting out as a manga, and then it'll get its own animated series if it's good enough, I guess. I don't know. Or sometimes it's just its own animated series. It really just depends. But for me, the biggest point for it being an anime is that it's originally from Japan. It's originally dubbed in Japanese, later dubbed in other languages.
Basically, my opinion of anime is anything that basically is a, cartoon from Japan that we consider to be animes. If you say that animes are just cartoons to a random weeb, be very ever so cautious that you're going to hear very inaudible in your ear because they're like, it's not an anime, it's not a cartoon. Yeah, I know.
Shame on a unit.
So, that being said, in my opinion, animes are just basically, animations that come from Japan that, we weebs watch so that way we can escape reality. like isekais, boom.
Remember 2 weeks ago?
So I guess the next question that we should be focusing on is what are some things, I guess another question is what are some things that, we look for in an anime, or what is it that we look to say hey, this thing is an anime, or at least an anime from Japan. We're going to come back and talk about Western animes in a little bit. But KP-chan, what makes an anime in your opinion? What do you look for?
Big eyes. No, kidding.
That is a trope.
It is a trope, especially from older animes. I don't know, because there's so many things that is in Japanese anime that's also in American cartoons and Western cartoons and stuff like that. So, but it's just the specific style that it's the specific style of their eyes are typically there's a specific drawing or an art style that they have. Mm-hmm. Eyes aren't as circular, more either square or maybe almond shaped, stuff like that. They're often very shiny. And animation quality can typically be sometimes better depending on the show. I guess. I don't know. Oh, and outlandish, severely outlandish.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
All right, that's not a bad thing. If you look for what draws you to anime was basically the art style. Yeah. A typical shoujo answer. Which shoujo, quick anime lesson, right? Is a type of anime genre that's basically
for girls.
I guess for girls. It's basically made for girls. And if you look for shonens, which are just basically animes that are made for boys.
Yep.
So, as we'll talk.
But the fact that the world is evolving with the he-she kind of thing and all of that stuff, that should kind of go away, but it's okay.
Well, it's that's fine. It's just more of the art style rather than it's for this type of group versus it's for this type of group. It's like
Yeah.
everybody, when I look at shonens, they're like, oh, I know they're like, oh, they're for, I guess, boys, so to speak, but they have more of a graphic, nitty gritty style to them, so that's why they're called shonens, or they're called
Yeah.
shonens due to them being like all about action and fighting and war and like war.
And the muscles are solely defined and huge for some reason.
Yeah, like JoJo's Bizarre Adventures.
JoJo, Dragon Ball Z, all of it.
You know, when so another shameless plug. I'm going to Anime Midwest this year, so if you are there, be on the lookout for me because I might have something special for all those who find me or I find them, and there might be some giveaways. Ooh. Anime can be broken down into like different categories, like genres that many specific people go after. Like I know for sure, I tend to go after isekais or shonen because love seeing blood and violence in anime. I love seeing fights, like those fight scenes that compared from years ago versus now, chef kiss, right? So that's why I look forward in anime. So that's why I got into anime, because just all the fight styles and all that. Like if you want, tell us about your first anime. Like what was your, I guess, gateway anime that led you into this lifestyle?
Okay, so the first anime I watched ever in full was Death Note. And I put that anime at number 5 in my top 5 favorite anime because of that, because it's what started it all. So yeah, and I typically gravitate towards like fantasy, I think I would say. I like some shonen animes, and I haven't really seen that many shoujo, surprisingly.
Good basket, by the way. It's a good shoujo.
But I also do like sports animes too. Sports animes.
Like Haikyuu,
Haikyuu.
Haikyuu, right? I know my gateway anime was Bleach. I literally woke up during at late at night, and I just saw the fight going. Like it was the vampire arc, and I saw the fight going. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Right? So I was like, oh man, I gotta watch more of this. So I ended up watching more. So I ended up watching more of that, and Bleach was my gateway anime. I'm like, man, look at these fights, and then I started staying up late because this is when Toonami was a thing. Again, showing our age.
It's still a thing.
Is it? I thought Toonami got canceled.
No, Toonami is still a thing.
Oh. Now that we have our gateway anime, and now we have like what makes an anime in our opinion, or what drives us to watch it. Well, actually, that could be the next question. Like, what drives you to watch anime? Like, what makes you stay up late at night to see all the dubbed anime you watch, subbed anime you watch? How can you sit there one night, watch 2 entire seasons, and not be sleepy? I did that, by the way.
I know I can't properly answer that because there are a lot of times where I just fall out of watching anime for a long time. Like, I think it was sometime around when I graduated from community college and started going to full college. That's when I kind of had my first falling out from anime, and I spent 2 years not even watching it. And I'm like, man, I really need to get back into this crap. I find it hard to stay motivated to watch anime sometimes, unless one looks really good or everyone's talking about it, and I'm like, okay, I gotta watch this now.
But me, I watch anime, or my motivation to watch anime is to basically, escape reality like we're supposed to. It's just a way for me to not really focus on all my adult duties, so that way I can, at least when it's time for me to be an adult, I can go back to being an adult at some point. There's days when, lo and behold, adulting gets in the way and I can't step away for a little bit to watch anime, because either I'm still in school and trying to get my homework done, or I am just tired and can't do it, or I'm just busy elsewhere.
Yeah. It just
all my
gets too
days.
busy being an adult, and you just don't have time to watch anime. So it's like, okay, and then you just
Yes.
stop watching it for a while. But then
I
when you come
also
back, it's
know-
amazing.
I know when I stop watching anime, I tend to read mangas more. So then I'm more of a manga reader than an anime watcher because I'd rather know what's happening instead of wait because I'm very impatient like that. So, I guess let's do the next question, or at least a transition question. What makes, I guess, let's talk about cartoons for a little bit then, so that way we can go to the transition question: anime versus cartoons, or at least westernized cartoons.
Mhm.
Like, what's the difference? So, the question is, what's a cartoon in your opinion?
Especially lately, cartoons tend to be more childish in a way. That's another thing I forgot to say about the anime versus cartoon things. That anime is definitely not for kids. However, many people say, "Oh, anime is for kids." No, it's freaking not. Okay, have you seen the gore out there? Have you seen the action? Have you seen what happened? It is not for kids. Anyway, that's a side rant. Yeah, so cartoons tend to be more catered to children. Some cartoons are family friendly and you can watch them with your kids, but like a lot of times they're more meant for the children's.
Yeah, I can get behind that, but you know, stuff like Family Guy, American Dad, that's not really meant for kids. You know,
Yeah,
Those
I
are
forgot
more
about
like-
those because I don't watch those.
I mean, I
They're
haven't seen.
They're too dumb for me. I can't do it.
I mean, I don't mind watching them. Like, I see that Hulu has Family Guy and American Dad, maybe, or one of the streaming services that has them,
Mhm.
which is fine and dandy and all. But I really don't go out my way to really watch a cartoon anymore. Hands down, favorite cartoon so far, Steven Universe. I love that cartoon. I think it was made correctly.
Steven
Like,
Universe, that's my fourth favorite cartoon that I have on my list. I freaking love Steven Universe.
It's a good one. I highly recommend it. I know it kind of ended weird for me. The one cartoon that I do hate because they ruined my boy Finn, right? Adventure Time.
Oh, that's number 2 on my list. That's my
I mean, I
second
like
favorite
it.
cartoon.
Is let me guess, is your number one regular show?
No, that's my number 3rd.
Ah, so all the ones I'm naming are basically going back to my rant about Adventure Time. Like, I loved Adventure Time. I thought it was a really great show. It's just the fact that, you know, PB was kind of manipulative of Finn, and when he found, you know, when she rejected him so hard that he was like in a deep, deep depression, and then Jake had to use the cup metaphor. It's like, this is my favorite cup. I love this cup. Chucks it out the window, right? And then he was like, okay, well, now my cup is gone. I love that cup, but you know, it's never going to come back. So you gotta let that go, man. And then he finally moves on to find Flame Princess, who I still ship to this day. Right? Him and Flame Princess. Flamio hot man, right? Avatar reference. That's another thing we're going to talk about. You know, when she did, you know, when PB found that Princess Bubblegum found out that he moved on, she did everything in her power to basically, like, have them break up and have him focus back on her, which is kind of rude, dog. How you gonna do that to my homeboy Finn?
Yeah, and then spoilers ahead for Adventure Time if you haven't seen it. And then she just ends up with Marceline anyway.
And then, like the regular show, love that show. I watched it all the way to the end. It was
So
crazy
funny.
as heck, right?
So funny.
Like most of these cartoons that we're talking about are on Cartoon Network. But then, you know, my favorite cartoon, hands down, till they ruined it with the remake, Ben 10.
Mhm.
I loved the fact that, you know, this kid, teenager, semi-adult, had this all-powerful watch called the Omnitrix that he can literally turn to any alien that he wanted to do. So that way he can defeat the villains. Like, I love my grandpa. I wish I had a grandpa like Grandpa Max. Like, deep dark secrets of this affiliation to these amazing heroes that do everything in the background called the Plumbers, right? But, you know, Ben 10, hands down, favorite cartoons.
But see, the thing is, though, here, I remember Ben 10. I didn't watch a lot of it because when I was younger, I had this weird mindset. Maybe it was like forced upon me without me knowing that all those kinds of shows were for boys, and I was a girl, so I was supposed to watch Barbie stuff. So I didn't watch Ben 10. But I'm surprised you didn't consider that a Western anime, considering the style that they were drawn in, especially the eyes.
I mean,
Yeah.
Ben 10 can be thrown underneath like the Western anime category. Western anime could be considered a Western anime, yeah. But I know that when we get to our Western anime segment here in a little bit, you know, we're going to talk about like what's the difference between cartoons and Western animes, which to me it's just basically drawing style and how animated they are. What are your top 5 favorite cartoons for on this topic? And then we're going to go back to talk about top 5 animes here in a little bit.
Okay, so my first favorite cartoon, I had to put this up there because I literally quote it constantly. The new seasons suck, but all the rest from like season 5 backwards are great. And that's SpongeBob. I freaking can't with SpongeBob. I quote it constantly. And there's so many memorable moments. And then second favorite, Adventure Time. Third favorite, Regular Show. Fourth favorite, Steven Universe. And then my fifth favorite cartoons, I just generalized this altogether. I just put down Disney. And I'm not talking like Disney Junior. I'm not talking like the kids stuff. I'm talking about like the movies and like whatever else it was called. Like some of the older
Disney.
like Disney Channel cartoons.
Yeah.
Because I have
Like
some
the
honorable
Proud
mentions. Yeah, because I have some honorable mentions as well for cartoons that I wanted to put on there, but since we only did it top 5,
You can
was
talk about them.
was Scooby-Doo, the original Scooby-Doo from the
Which one,
70s.
like-
Scooby-Doo,
Okay,
where
let's
are
see.
you?
You didn't like the What's in Scooby-Doo? We're
I
coming after you.
like that one, but the original just takes the cake for me.
Or you like the one that Scooby-Dooby-Doo? Where
Where
you?
are you?
That's
A
some
classic.
things to do now.
Another an honorable mention I had is another old Disney Channel cartoon when the cartoons on there were good. American Dragon Jake Long.
Wait, which version though? Like the one where he's more blocky, or the one where he's more like quote human-like?
The first one.
Okay.
So the one less blocky. The blocky
Yes.
one kind of was crap.
Yeah, I kind of liked him being the buff dragon versus him being a skinny dragon.
Yeah. Right. And then I have another honorable mention. I didn't know if to put this in cartoons or anime or Western anime or whatever. I know it's not Western though, but and it's actually technically a Japanese cartoon, not an anime, but a Japanese cartoon for like, you know, and that's Shin-chan. Have you seen that?
Yeah, Crayon Shin-chan. Yeah,
It cracks me up. So that's another honorable
top
mention.
one anime. Shin-chan, Crayon Shin-chan, literally the best. I wouldn't say it's the best anime out there, but it's an anime that I stand behind because it is my number 1 favorite anime. So, I guess that leads us to our transition one. What makes the anime different from a cartoon? Because I guess it can all be categorized underneath the cartoon umbrella because, you know, anything that's animated is considered a cartoon, which I'm like, don't do that. I have to tell my father, don't do that so many times. Especially when I was still young, weeblet.
I mean, I guess we kind of already talked about it a little bit, but like, obviously, like animation style can be kind of different, and the drawing style can be similar, but also unique in its own way. That's the main factors for me, I guess.
Yeah, I think mine is more of like, who's it made for, I guess. Like,
Yeah,
as we
that's it.
discussed, anime isn't like, there are animes out there for kids, and those are specifically for kids.
Yeah.
But when I'm thinking of anime, I'm thinking more of the mature content, because, you know, there's in Japan, they're all they're all cartoons, and I think some translation roughly translates to cartoons. But again, you say that to the wrong weeb, you're gonna get like a ring in your face, and yeah, right? Something.
Yeah, well, anime is called anime because literally that's the Japanese word for animation. So, yeah. As long as it's animated series, then it is anime.
Anime, yeah. So that's my biggest deciding factor, like who's it made for, and like the demographic and age range for it. Like I know SpongeBob is basically for all ages. No matter how old you get, you're still gonna like SpongeBob, even if the latest seasons aren't that great. But the Krusty Krab pizza
is the pizza absolute divine.
And then that's what I like about cartoons, because they just make me laugh.
Krusty Krab, yeah, pizza.
I want to mention a cartoon. I guess it plays on Nickelodeon now, and it's for kids, but it's so good. And like, I know so many adults that actually like the show. I just want to mention it real quick. Is Miraculous Ladybug? It's so good, and it's French. It's originally French.
Yeah. There's I know there's a bunch of cartoons out there that are basically for everybody, or for certain age groups and whatnot, but I know most of my stuff basically comes from Cartoon Network, so that's why I tend to like cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess let's transition to the next question of what's the difference between a cartoon and a Western anime? Right? So something like, would you consider Avatar and the second season that we don't talk about, would you consider Avatar, The Last Airbender, Western anime, or would you consider more of a cartoon?
Myself, I consider it more of a Western anime just because it's got that traditional anime style, but it's still got that goofy humor and the cartoony movements and stuff like that really make it okay, this isn't actually a Japanese anime, but it is a Western style anime.
I know an example of the Avatar being more cartoony based is when Sokka drank the cactus juice. Oh geez, the Avatar was good, and I thought Legend of Korra was decent. Not can't compare it to the first season, obviously.
Okay, so fun fact, I watched Legend of Korra first. I had never seen Avatar: The Last Airbender until last year. That was the first time I watched it. I binged it all on Netflix, and I was like, now I see the appeal. I see what everyone was talking about. So that's my first favorite Western anime. And then because I actually did like Korra, personally, it's my second favorite, but
combine those two because technically season 2 of the Avatar.
No, it's not. Avatar has 4 seasons. Legend of Korra has 4 seasons. They have books. Those are seasons. Shush.
Whatever. We're going to say series 2. Me personally, I would actually rank those like Avatar and Legend of Korra in the Western anime due to their art style, because I know they're originally not from Japan or anything, but at the same time it feels like they took some aspects of their animation and really stepped up their cartoon animation style. The fight scene that I remember the most, which I stand behind, is when Aang was fighting Aang was fighting Fire Lord Ozai. And then when he gets stuff happens where Azulo's like, hey, guess what? Right? Lightning fingers. And then blocked away his avatar state. But then when he was fighting, and plot armor to the max, by the way, he somehow hit a rock just in the right spot to unlock his avatar state. I thought,
literally.
I mean, I didn't think about it as a kid. I didn't think about it because I'm like, oh, yeah, I ain't about to. As soon as I saw him grab Ozai's goatee, I'm like, he's dead. He's dead. He's gone. It's over with. He's about to cripple
The child is
all
no
over
longer
this
a child.
dude. Yeah, but this man, right?
He's a man now.
Well, he's over 100. He's over he's like 112 years old, 112, 114 years old.
Yeah.
Of course, he's a man. He's a full-fledged adult, technically.
But he
Oh.
was still.
A child. No.
I know we talked about this before, or many of my other friends talked about it, but Boondocks, they consider that to be a Western anime over a cartoon. All due to the demographic or who it's for, because they do use the N-word a lot, or just the fight scenes that they have, or the animation style, or who it's for. I would consider that more of a Western anime, because they actually took the drawing and animation, cranked that up from a normal 7 to a 16 or something. So would you consider Boondocks a Western anime?
Boondocks. Yeah, I think I would. Yeah.
Is there any other apparently Samurai Champloo? That's considered a Western anime, which I thought it was made by Japan, but apparently it's not. It all boils down to who's making it, who's it for, and the animation style between the contrast between anime, cartoons, and Western animes. Speaking of non-traditional animes, there is a which I'm proud of. There's a black-owned anime studio. Either it's out, or the animes that they're producing is already out. Either they're out or they are in the making of getting it out so far. It's over in Japan, but he's from America. Apparently he did Ghost in the Shell, Yo-Yo-G, Hiro Masa Ogura. With that being said, now it's time for the manhwa section.
Well, I didn't get to say all my Western anime faves.
Oh, well, didn't say all your stuff.
I thought we were
Let's hear
going
your
to discuss them.
I thought we did.
Well, we
Okay, you
didn't
know what?
discuss all of them.
Okay, then let's discuss more, because I know I talked about 2.
So one, I think it was when I searched up Western anime or something on the internet. I think this one popped up, and maybe I misunderstood you saying that it could be one. Which was Cowboy Bebop. I don't think that's actually Western, is it? Or was it created?
I think it's not Western, and it's interesting. You type in Western animes, and it just comes up with all these lists here.
Yeah,
But the
and
main
JoJo's
one-
under there.
Yeah, apparently JoJo's Bizarre Adventures is a Western anime. I don't know how, I don't know what they're doing, but geez Louise.
Okay, so taking Cowboy Bebop off then. So Western anime for me, first favorite Avatar, second favorite Legend of Korra, which shush, don't say anything. Fourth then favorite is an old cartoon that they played on Cartoon Network, and I think they also played it on one of those Saturday morning channels or something. Is Shaolin Showdown. The style is slightly anime-ish, but it's still but obviously it was created here in America, but yeah, that one. And then my last one is She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. I haven't seen the original She-Ra, but I've seen bits and pieces of the Netflix one. So I put that down, and we're planning on watching it sometime soon. So here's a picture of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I guess going back to Shaolin Showdown, do you prefer the first season style, or do you prefer the second season style?
Second season meaning the reboot? Because the reboot sucked. The original one is where it's at for me.
Yeah, I feel like any reboot sucks. Besides just talking about Western anime, we can talk about other stuff, which I couldn't find real good Eastern cartoon references, so that's why I kind of changed it to Eastern, not pertaining to Japan. So I just decided we can talk about manhwas, right? For those who don't know, manhwas are just basically Korean or Chinese mangas. My favorite one, hands down, Solo Leveling. And I hear rumors, right, that there may be it might be getting an anime adaptation like God of High School.
Mm.
So I'm excited. I don't know if you found any manhwas that you can.
Oh, me, I have my
stand
5. I have my 5.
Yeah, only for legally only having one. 'Cause
It's all good. A lot of mine, actually, all of mine are manhwas that are on Webtoon, because Webtoon has a lot of those. And I know that at number 5, it got its own animated series, Tower of God. So there's that one. Number 4th on my list is When the Day Comes. It's kind of a romantic comedy, I guess you could say. And it's originally, I believe it was originally in either Korean or maybe one of the Chinese languages. But I obviously read in English because I can't read any of that. But like, you can tell that it's like a manhwa or whatever, or where it's originally from based on the characters' names. Coming in at number 3 on my list is called You Are My BFF. It's technically a boy love one, but you know what? We can look over that because it's actually really good. And there's actually not a lot of gay in it. And then coming number 2, Lost in Translation, is about this like K-pop boy group who are trying to make it big. And then coming in at number 1 is one called True Beauty, which actually just recently got a K-drama adaptation, and I love it. And I'm mad that it's not like anything like the webtoon, but I still love it. And I'm ready for season 2 if they're going to make it. But yeah, that one is like my top favorite one right now.
So I guess what makes manhwas different from like traditional anime, since again it's just the art style and who's it made by. Since I believe it's a Korean based one, and so it's like solo leveling. I feel like those are more like different because of the drawing style. So it's just like thinking who's made by and who's it for. I don't know about you and what you consider the manhwa, or what makes the manhwa different from you, but you know, you can talk about it.
Again, it's more or less like what language does it start in and where does it come from, like you were saying. And then a lot of times, like they have different styles when it comes to manhwas, based like versus manga. I guess, because some of them, I don't know how to explain it, but you know. I guess manga has more of a sketchy style. Manhwa also can have a sketchy style, but it looks like very digital, I guess, rather than hand-drawn. I don't know if that's anything, but
So I don't know. I don't know how to explain it properly. It's just
neither do I.
I don't know. So like it's just more of like who's it made by, who's it made for, who's the target audience, I guess. So with that being said, you know, we're just going to cover over. I know we only had a small manhwa topic, but it's fine because we really haven't delved too really deep into manhwas like that ourselves. But you know, it's just some things I want to at least point out. It's like the big difference between the 4 topics is, like I said, you know, who's it made for, who's it made by, target audience, and drawing style. And that's just a big difference. So, you know, just to recap, you know, in your opinion, again, what makes an anime versus like a cartoon, so to speak?
Whatever I said at the beginning, because I just don't know. I'm just waiting to talk about actual Japanese anime. Going for hours about it.
I mean, you know I can talk about hours, which like next week, Monday, I plan to do this again, as long as you're free, or I can bring in somebody else who wants to join in. What makes a cartoon, I guess. You know, and as we stated earlier, it's just, I guess, who is it for and where is it made?
What's the target
Western
audience?
target audience. And Western animation is just basically cartoons that have their animation revved up to the max.
Mhm.
They were like, it's time to rev it up, and then they just like a Yu-Gi-Oh reference, right? So then they're just like, and then like Boondocks.
Yeah.
Another cartoon that I would consider a cartoon is Rick and Morty. I don't know if you guys ever seen it, but
Yeah.
Rick and Morty I would definitely consider a cartoon.
Mhm.
But it's more of an adult
It's an
cartoon
adult
due
cartoon,
to like all the graphic scenes that are in it. But I know with anime they tend to they have a bunch of different categories and all the
Mhm.
art style is different. Like Yuri on Ice. Hate it watching it, but I'm still rooting for
What?
Yuri to win.
What'd you hate watching it for? And don't say it's because it's gay.
Well, yaoi based, yes, like Black Butler, but it was one guy, I forget his name, the one from Spain or Brazil. He kind of freaked me out. And like we stated earlier, anime is not for kids. There are kids animes out there which I will recommend to my niece and nephew or my sister,
Mhm.
so that way she can put that on for the kids, and there won't be anything like blood and gore and death and anything. Sure, fine,
Mhm.
whatever. Or you can go watch PJ Animals or PJ Masks and whatnot. Yeah, turn that on. For the kids. Or I give my niece who's getting into anime, which I solely love because I'm because I would love my family to at least watch a couple of animes. But
Yeah, I have a young
So,
cousin who's getting into anime on her own without anyone, without even me saying, hey, go watch this. And I love that.
that's what we think of anime. We will definitely put our lists in the anime recommendations tab.
Are we going to talk about our top 5 Japanese anime, though, right now? Real
Yes.
quick, before we sign off? Or
Yeah.
anything? Okay.
Mhm.
Because we talked about the first one that we started watching, but we haven't talked
Mhm.
about our top 5.
Go ahead and talk about your top 5 anime.
Me first?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, here we go. Okay. Time to call me a basic B word, but my first favorite anime, this is my top 5 at the moment, by the way. My first favorite, as of right now, is My Hero Academia. I'm still obsessed with it. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to unobsess, but here I am. Second favorite, as of now, Jujutsu Kaisen. Can't get enough. Cannot get enough. Third favorite, as of right now, Demon Slayer. I'm ready for season 3, if it will hurry up. And then my fourth favorite, as of right now, Attack on Titan. I don't know what they did. I'm still mad about it. But they said, hey, here's Attack on Titan final season. And then they ended on a cliffhanger. And I'm like, what do you mean final season? My butt. Come on.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun season part 2, part 3.
I swear to God.
Going.
I think they're doing either another short season or a movie. And I'm like, bruh, no, why? You said final
I think
season.
they're doing another short season. And then I know they're trying to do a big recap for Black Clover. Or in a movie form. I'm like, yeah, don't do that. Just do the anime.
Yeah. And then my fifth favorite, as I mentioned before, because it's the one that started it all, was Death Note. So that's my top 5 as of right now.
I could never get into I watched Death Note, I just didn't like the ending. I'm like, he had all this power and he still messed it up. For my top 5, especially the ones that got me into anime, were basically number 1, Shin-chan.
Mm-hmm.
Love the shit out of that anime. I strongly recommend it to anybody who wants to watch a comedy-based anime.
So funny.
That's not Boba. I love that it is good, but it's not top 5 worthy. Number 2 is going to be FLCL.
Fooly Cooly.
Yeah, it's actually Furikuri, madam.
Well, that's because Japanese can't say their L's.
Yeah, but you're gonna be a grammar Nazi on me when I say Chan as Chan, or Chan as Chan. I'm gonna get on you for not saying Furikuri correctly.
Foodie.
Booty Cootie, right? I only got into that anime due to the soundtrack, but it's number 2 all because of the soundtrack. And I like season 1 and season 2 or season 3 because those were, I think it's Furikuri Progressive, and Furikuri Alternative, and whichever one that basically the world didn't end on everybody getting flattened, that's the one that I liked. Number 3, it's going to be Number 3 is actually going to be the 7 Deadly Sins, all because of my boy Escanor being the Chad that he is. He was the main character when season 2 came out. I love that guy. He's literally, due to him and somebody pointing out, have way too much pride. I end up getting his symbol tattooed on my arm. And I thought about putting it on my back, but as my first tattoo, I didn't want that.
Yep.
So, number 4? Space Dandy. I love that anime.
I remember you used to talk about it constantly, and I was like, shut up.
Yeah, I used to. Back in, was it high school, or was it when we met back up again in college?
I think it might have been a little bit in high school, but it was like after high school when we were just like texting back and forth occasionally, and you would not shut up about it.
I would never shut up about Space Dandy because he's Space Dandy, the dandiest man in space. He would comb the galaxy like he would comb his pompadour in search of new aliens, and then just broke out into his intro like, "Oh shit!" Right? And then, like, I know my 5th position changes a lot, but that one I'm going to hold out for. I believe it's JoJo's for right now because this what I'm currently reading, a bunch of Stone Oceans. That way, I can get to the next season where we meet Dirty Deeds, done dirt the cheap, right? But yeah, those are our top 5 anime.
Oh, and I'm going to shamelessly plug real quick, but if you want to hear more about me talking about my top 5 anime, I actually uploaded a video to my YouTube channel, Kawaii Porpoise, last weekend, I believe it was. So if you want to hear me go more in depth on why I like it and my top 5 favorite characters from the show, blah, 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 then yeah. But anyway.
So, without further ado, enjoy your day. And, say it with me, stay super!